Journey to the West, Conquering the Demons is a 2013 fantasy comedy film that was co-written, produced, and directed by Stephen Chow. The movie was first announced in 2011 and wasn't released until 2013 in China. So the language was Mandarin, I believe, and it starred Chih, Wen Zheng, Huang, Sholo, and Chrissie Chau. It's kind of a reimagination, like a reinterpretation of the original novel, Journey to the West, as in the name. However, it's got a lot more comedic elements. It's kind of like a prequel or an origin story, kind of, and how the movie ends, it kind of sets up that there could be like future tales and stories. And it actually did have a sequel, Journey to the West, The Demons Strike Back, which I'll hopefully take a look at eventually. So let me go over the plot real quick for you guys, because it is different from the book. So it kind of starts off at a river village, and they're getting attacked by a demon who's eating people, and we get introduced to the star of the movie. I don't remember his name, sorry, but we get introduced to the star of the movie, and he's trying to hunt down the demon, which is like a demon fish, and they end up this cool battle involving the lots of planks and bridges and scaffolding and things like that, and it's really cool. It's a cool initial fight sequence, and eventually it leads up to him meeting another demon hunter who is a woman, and she uses this infinite golden ring weapon so she can make it grow, she can make it shrink, and she can duplicate it and attack demons and stuff with it. So anyway, they're able to take out the fish, then they kind of part their ways, then they meet up again to fight the pig demon, who is pretty famous in the Journey to the West lore. And that's a really cool scene as well, involving the inn, and they're having a big fight. And the pig demon escapes. They're trying to catch up with them. Sorry, pardon my phone. They kind of meet up again, and then they fight the pig demon again. Then later he talks to his master, and he discovers that to defeat the pig demon, they'll need the help from the Monkey King. So he goes off to try and find the Monkey King. He finds him. They talk. A lot of things kind of occur. Again, there's kind of like a interesting love-hate relationship between the two main characters, the main gentleman and the female demon hunter. And a really cool scene actually involves her meeting up with him along with the gang of her minions, sort of, or henchmen, that are kind of like call her the boss and stuff. And it's a really cool setup. I did actually enjoy that a lot. It was really cool. And then they find the Monkey King. He accidentally gets released. They end up in a big fight. You meet some more demon hunters. And the ending fight is kind of like they took it almost out of Asura's Wrath, if you guys remember that game or have heard of it. It was a game on the PS3 and I think Xbox. And it was a kind of another Journey to the West type Chinese mythological game. But anyway, so the ending fight scene was definitely worth it, and I'd recommend watching the film just for the middle-ish scene, the pig demon scene in the inn, and like the end. So it's kind of like a little bit all over the place, and that's kind of the reason why I was hesitant to review the film, because while it's not a martial arts film per se, it kind of incorporates a lot of elements from Chinese literature and mythological stuff, as well as it did have some fight sequences as well. And it did have a heavy emphasis on effects, and a lot of it was practical, and a lot of it was also CG. So it kind of fused both of them together, and I think it actually did a good job for what it was. Let's go into my scoring before this gets too long. So the story, I rate a 7 out of 10. While I believe it is above average, it wasn't that good. It had a couple slow moments, and it had a couple really weird scenes that was just very odd. And one of them that stood out was between the female demon hunter, and all of a sudden she just started dancing with the Monkey King and stuff, and it was just really awkward, and like it made no sense. There's a few of those, but in general it was a good story. I could follow it well. It made sense. It did incorporate parts from Journey to the West, which was really cool. So I give it a 7 out of 10. Music, I give it an 8 out of 10. It was very well done. The ending credits were good. The intro was good. The music in general was really good. I didn't feel like anything was out of place, and it wasn't anything awful, which is, that's amazing. The effects, I also rate an 8 out of 10. Now, they did use a lot of CG into it, and you could tell, too. It wasn't like they were hiding it or anything, but I think it actually enhanced the film and allowed them to kind of show off more mythological things for where it was needed. Now, they did have practical effects, like the Monkey King when he finally revealed his true form and stuff. He did have practical effects involved in the stuntman, and a couple of the other effects, like with blood work or just like weapons and things like that, were pretty cool. And they kind of mixed it really well with the CG. Now, yeah, you may be against CG or you may like practical effects, but for some reason it just worked and I didn't really have a problem with it. The fights, I rate a 3 out of 10. And the reason it's so low is because while there wasn't a lot of fight scenes in it, the few that they did were just kind of like averagey, except for the final fight scene, but that involved way more CG than I was probably comfortable with, I guess, to rate it higher. So while I am rating it low, the few fight scenes that I already described in the plot are definitely worth checking out anyway. So that gives me an overall score of 6 out of 10. While it was kind of averagey in a few instances, some of it kind of brought it up a little bit higher. It didn't have as many fight scenes as I thought it would, but that's because it was more of a comedy fantasy movie, and that's why I was kind of hesitant to review it anyway. And who knows if I'll even post this video. But I'd rate it a 6 out of 10, and I would only recommend it if you're a Journey to the West fan or looking for more of a fantasy Chinese film or something like that in general, because it's not a true martial arts film, and it doesn't really have anybody that I was familiar with actor-wise. So that's kind of where I'm at on this film. Maybe I'll check out the sequel eventually, but all in all, it was just an okay film. So